Let's get started. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen wa nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. So the topic is prom night, who's your date, right? Before we start talking about prom or any of that, I want to tell you guys something about myself as I was growing up, right? So usually when I was in middle school, I had a curfew. And my mom told me that I had to be home by Maghrib Salah, right? She said, you can leave after Asr Salah, pray Asr, leave, and be home by Maghrib, which gives me a few hours, depending on the time of the year. And then, that was 8th grade. Then I went to 9th grade, I went to high school, and my curfew extended a little bit, also with the time of the year. Remember I mentioned earlier, it depends. So sometimes, Maghrib is at what time? Like 5 o'clock even, 6 o'clock. And then sometimes Maghrib is at 9 o'clock, right? So, if I go by Maghrib, sometimes I'm staying out till 9 o'clock, sometimes I'm staying out till like 7 o'clock, right? So I use that to my leisure. So as time goes by, I stay out a little bit longer and longer. So let's say it's Maghrib's at 7 o'clock, right? But earlier, Maghrib was at 9 o'clock. I'll tell my mom, but I was already out till 9 o'clock. What's the big difference? Right? The time didn't change. Maghrib changed. But the time didn't change. So why should I? Like, why should my curfew change? Because Maghrib changed. So long as I pray, right? So every year, it would increase a little bit by little bit, my curfew. So it would go from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock to a point where my curfew was completely gone, right? Because my parents trusted me at one point. Also because I, aged over time and I showed them responsibilities that I can handle myself, bi'idhnillah. So from this story, we saw that it starts off with something very small, with restricted time from Asr to Maghrib. But I kept on pushing it and pushing it and pushing it to a point where I broke through it. I broke through the curfew, so I can even go home at, let's say, 12 o'clock, and my parents would be okay with that, right? Whereas 5 years ago, 7 years ago, if I went home at 10 o'clock, they'd be worried, calling me, saying, what's going on? That's something that might be happening to you guys at this point right now in your life, if you go home late. That's just something I wanted to share, just keep that in the back of your mind. And right now I want to share another story. I like stories because they get people's attention. Another story I want to share is the story of this one man, right? We'll say his name later. Some of you might know his story. He's mentioned in the Quran actually. He was actually the most pious, righteous man in town. And there were 3 brothers who wanted to go for jihad. Now when I say jihad, I'm talking about they went in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? For the right path. So they had to take care of their sister somehow while they were gone. So they said, okay, who can take care of our sister? Right? They don't have their parents, it's just them, three brothers and one sister. So they said, okay, it makes sense to go to the most righteous person of the entire village. We're going to go to him and make sure that he takes care of our sister. They go to him, and you'd expect the guy to say, okay, right? He says, no. The righteous man is single, and he says, no, I don't want to take care of your sister. They're saying, why not? Come on, you're the only one we can trust in the entire city. You have to. And he's saying, no, I can't, I'm sorry. And he rejects them. And the 3 brothers go away. And you think that's the end of the story, right? But it's really not. It didn't even start yet. What ends up happening is another man comes. Another man comes and advises the religious person, right? And he tells him like, look man, if you don't take care of their sisters, they're going to leave the city anyway. And their sister's going to be with somebody else who might be harmful. Now, you know that you're righteous, you know you have taqwa, you believe in Allah, you're God conscious. So you know you'll take care of her. But do you really trust those other guys to take care of her? Right? So he's like, this guy's making a point, he's making a very good point. Let me consider that. And so he changed his mind. So when the brothers came across him again, he accepted the offer, but he had conditions. He said, I'll look after your sister, but there's a condition. The condition is that she has to be in a completely different building than I am in. I'm going to be in my prayer area, my musalla, right? And I'm going to reside there. And she has to be in a completely different building. I'll take care of her, as in I'll make sure she has her basic necessities, but I don't want her to come across my path. That's the condition he had. The brothers are like, okay, that's fine. That's not a big deal. Sure. I mean, it's a little bit harsh, saying that she's always going to be by herself, but he's like, these are my conditions. Either you take it or you don't. So imagine you're in one entire building, and the other person is in a completely different building, right? So how do they go about their days? Because he had to take care of her. So what he would do is he would leave food outside of his house and close the door and go back in his house or in his building, she would leave her building, walk over to his building, get the food from outside of his building, then go back and eat it. That's how the interaction would take place. Is there any interaction? None at all. He didn't even see her at that point. He just knew there was someone who's coming and taking the food. For all he knows, a cat could have came and ate the food, but he's thinking, okay, I'm assuming it's her. That's how it went on for some time. Then remember that man I said earlier who came and gave him the advice? That, hey, you gotta take her in, or else the other guys are gonna take her in. He comes back to him. He gives him some more advice. He's like, look, man, because of you, she has to walk from that building to your building. She's exposed to the outside environment. Other people can see her, someone might do something to her. You're supposed to protect her. Shouldn't you take it to her building and leave it there? Doesn't that make more sense? And don't you guys think that makes sense? Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. He's like, you know what, you have a point. Again, so this guy sounds like a wise man. So he's saying, okay, fine. So he starts leaving the food in front of her door. Knocks on the door and leaves. That's it. Is there any interaction? None so far. She eats and that's it. Then over some time, now when I'm saying over some time, keep in mind, these are weeks and months that are going by. It's not Monday this happened and Wednesday that happened. It's not like that. Because when they went for a jihad back in the days, what that meant was they traveled. They didn't have an airplane, right? The travel itself is a long time. The journey itself is a long time. Keep that in mind. So weeks are going by. Months are going by. Now the guy comes back. The wise man comes back again and tells him that it's been so long, she hasn't had any human interaction. She has no friends, no family. You're the only person she knows. Don't you think she's going to go into a state of depression? Don't you feel if you were secluded in an area, in the prison system they have that, you basically get like a quote-unquote timeout where you're just put into a room by yourself. That's basically what's happening to her. Don't you feel like you should at least ask her how she is when you give her the food? At least have the decency to speak to her, give her salam, something like that, He's like, okay, fine. So what ends up happening is he knocks on the door and he hands her the food this time. Says salam and leaves. Like says, how are you? And leaves, They would talk through the door. Like he would hand the food and they would talk through the door. Can you see her? No. He can hear her, right? That's about it. That's pretty strict still. I'd say that's still pretty strict. Moving forward, again, some time passes and the wise man comes again and says, it's really awkward that you're talking to this person through a wall. Isn't that really weird? Like, imagine talking to somebody through a wall. You're like, that's not even really, you don't even feel the sentiment behind there. There's no sincerity behind there. Just give her the food. Why don't you just eat with her? You're going to eat anyway. Just go inside, eat with her, and then leave. So he starts doing that. So he'll go inside, they'll eat together, and then he'll leave. And then, from eating together, they would start talking together. And their boundaries of discussions would change. So at one point, maybe they just talked about, in our case, homework. And then another point, they talked about just a project. And then another time, they talked about a volunteering assignment. And then they're talking about something happening with the NHS, something happening with the MSA. They're having these conversations which seem so restricted, so, safe and clean and protected. Doesn't make any sense, right? It's okay. And then the conversations start going a little bit astray. And next thing you know, one thing leads to another, and fornication takes place, and she ends up pregnant. The same person, he said that, I don't even want to accept her to be her protector. I don't even want her in the same building as me. I don't even want her to be in the same building as me. It's the same woman who ends up pregnant because of him. Who was he? The most righteous man in the entire village. He wasn't just anybody. He wasn't like a Joe Schmo just walking around. He was the guy people went to for help. Because you saw him, you thought of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You saw him, you thought of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You saw him like, this is a righteous man. This is a righteous man. And this is the same man who ends up doing that. That's still not the end of the story. So what happens now? The brothers are going to come back from their trip. She's pregnant. He was supposed to take care of her. He didn't even marry her. None of that. So out of fear, he's panicking. And again, the wise man comes back to him. And the wise man says, you're in a predicament, but get this. They've been gone for such a long time. If she goes away, they don't know what really happened to her. Whatever you say, they'll believe. They trusted you with all their trust. So you can take this and spin it however you want to. I suggest you actually kill her. Just take care of her before they come back. So what did he do? He actually ended up killing her. This is someone who basically he maybe fell in love with or felt he fell in love with, was infatuated over, got her pregnant, and then he kills her out of the fear of her brothers. And he buries her dead body somewhere. And the brothers come back and they're like, where's our sister? And he says that, well, she passed away of illness. She was sick and I buried her. And he pointed them towards the wrong destination. So they went there, they cried, they said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. They felt sad, and they went there, they prayed for her, and that was it. They believed him. You would believe him. Because for all you know, this is the most trustworthy man. You came back, and okay, that's it, Allah's done. Then, the brothers, a little bit after, they all go to sleep, they wake up, and one of them wakes up and says, I just had this crazy dream. And the second one's like, yeah, I had a crazy dream today too. What was yours about? It's like, I had this dream that the righteous guy that was supposed to protect our sister, he lied to us. And in my dream, I saw that our sister was buried somewhere else. And the other brothers are like, I had the same dream, that's so crazy. And the place I saw her grave is the same place you're talking about. So let's all go over there and check it out. So they all go, all of them, and they come to this new destination that they saw in their dream, and they dig it up and they see the body of the baby and the mother. They see the body of the baby and the mother. And imagine how they're feeling as a brother. They're frustrated, they're angry. They go back to him and they said that we're going to take you to the ruler of the land and we're going to make sure you get punished. We're going to make sure you get punished. Now, for a short period of time, he was relaxed, right? For a short period of time, he thought he got away with it. It was all over. He escaped, right? He's like, they trusted me, it's all over. Next thing you know, these people have a dream, and now he's back in this rut all over again. So as he's going with them, they're taking him. It's not like he can fight them off. They're taking him to the ruler, and the sentence is going to be what? Execution, right? Death. He knows what's coming his way. And as he's going with them, guess who comes up again? The wise man comes back up. And he sees them taking him, and he comes up to him and he's like, man, I know you are like in a completely crazy situation right now, but I have a solution to this. I can help you get out of this right now. Imagine the worst thing that's happened in your life. Imagine you got into $1 million debt, right? How frustrated would you be? Imagine basically your life is coming to an end like his. Wouldn't you want anything to just protect yourself, to save yourself? So similarly, he felt the same way, and he was like, okay, what's the solution? Tell me, I'll do it. I'll do anything. He didn't realize that this was the same man that took him and got him into this entire situation from the beginning. He forgot about that because he was so focused on his life. He was so focused on clinging onto this world, on clinging onto what he had in this life, that he forgot about everything else. And he said, what do I have to do for you to get me out of this situation? And the man replies and says, it's very simple. All you have to do is prostrate to me, and that's it. Says that, makes sujood. Prostrate to me, and I'll get you out of this situation. Does that make any sense? Every solution he gave him made sense, right? In one way or another. It might be morally incorrect, but did it make sense? Okay, you know what? Give her the food, sit down with her, talk to her, interact with her. Oh, you want to solve the situation? Kill her. We don't agree with that, but I'm saying to him that makes sense. But the prostration, does that make any sense? How is me prostrating going to get me out of a situation with 3 guys taking me to the king or the ruler? That has no sense. But he was so caught up in the moment, he's like, okay, I'll do it. You see how the environment completely made him change his mind? He didn't even realize what he was doing. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't high. He was completely aware of his surroundings. And an answer which made no sense came across him, and he took it. And what did he do? He prostrated down to the man. And after he gets up, the man says, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm sorry, I can't help you. And for those of us who know the story, we know the righteous man, or who started off as a righteous man, his name was Barsisa. He's mentioned in the Quran. And the man that gave him the advice throughout the entire story is Shaitan himself. So Shaitan first made him commit zina, then he made him commit murder, and then he made him commit shirk. Literally, major sins, one after another after another. And right before he's about to be executed, he makes him commit shirk. The one sin Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he cannot overlook. So look at how shaitan played this person. And how quick did it take for shaitan to do this? How fast did this process happen? Over years. If there was a baby, just think about that. Think how long that takes itself. Right? This shaitan worked so beautifully with him the entire time. And he is a wise man. Shaitan is very wise. He's not dumb. He's known mankind from the beginning. He's known mankind from Adam alayhi salam, to a point where he tricked Adam alayhi salam. And from then, every mankind has come. He knows us inside out. And you know how we have the phrase, history repeats itself? Well, shaitan knows that. So what he does is he does the same trick on people over the same period of time. And it doesn't matter what generation you're in. You fall for the same traps every time. It doesn't matter what happens. Shaitan will get you one way or another. And the more practicing you try to become, the more he's going to come and attack you. So that was a story I wanted to share with you all. But there is an ayah in Surah Al-Isra, chapter number 17, ayah number 32. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the beginning that La taqrabu zina, saying that do not even go near zina. Now, what is zina? That's the question to ask. The hadith in Sahih Muslim, where it says that Rasulullah said that zina of the eyes is a lustful look. Zina of the eyes is a lustful look. Zina of the tongue is a promiscuous speech. Do you guys know what promiscuous means? It means like, think of sexual speech even in a sense. That's zina of the tongue. Zina of the ears is listening to seductive music. Zina of the feet is walking towards a place which will lead to zina. Walking towards a place which will lead to zina. These are all forms of zina. We think, okay, zina just means straight up sex. It's not. It's more than that. There are categories. And you have to break those down and understand why did they say that. Why is Allah saying do not go near zina? Allah did not say do not commit zina, of course. But He's saying do not even go near zina. Why? Because we have to take preventive measures as Muslims. We have to take preventive measures. Why is it that we focus on extra credit in school? You guys get extra credit in here? Do teachers give extra credit? Why do you guys do extra credit? What's the point of that? What is the point of doing extra? Just do good in your classes, right? Just do good on your grades. You don't have to do extra credit. But people will still do extra credit. Why? Preventive measures. What if I mess up on the final exam? What if I mess up on this? What if I mess up on that? Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, take preventive measures. Don't fall into that. Stay away from it to begin with. Don't look twice at that person. You saw once, it just happened. Okay, look away. Look down. Keep focusing on what you're doing. But don't become distracted. Don't become infatuated with that person. With that individual, right? So that's what zina really is. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to stay away from. Now, I mentioned the idea of influence and the environment, right? How shaitan slowly changed him over time, and how he was so strict when it came to leaving the food outside the door versus inside the house. Because as soon as he went inside her house, he felt more comfortable. But when he left the food outside his house or her house, he still felt okay. Environment changes. Consider this. When you're with your friends, right? In your class, how do you behave? Versus when you're with your friends in the hallway, how do you behave? Versus when you're with your friends outside of school, how do you behave? Versus when you're in front of your parents at the dinner table, how do you behave? Completely different. Completely different. Why is that? Environment. Environment changes that. Why do we change just because our mother and father is there? Why do we change because of something that minute that just changed? There's still people, there's still humans, they can still see you, your friends can still see you. Why are we changing? That's what we have to consider. For those, I know most of us don't drive in here, but let's say, I'm sure you've had an encounter with someone who is driving. They might be speeding or driving unruly, right? They're not following the rules. As soon as they see a cop, what happens? They hit the brakes. They slow down. If a cop is behind you, imagine if the cop is behind you, how are you going to drive at that point? Go faster. I hope not. Right? He's saying go faster. If a cop is right behind you, you're going to slow down. You're going to become more cognizant of how you're driving. Some people put both their hands on the wheels, like, okay, I'm gonna make sure like he doesn't think I'm texting, whatever. Nothing's happening. I'm looking straight forward. As soon as that cop leaves, there's this feeling of freedom that comes about you, right? So, in the first situation was our friends and our mother and father, right? But our mother and father leave and we come to school with just our friends. In the second situation, it was the cops and the car, right? But the cop leaves and we're by ourselves, right? The third situation is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does Allah ever leave? He's always there. So why do we change? How can we change if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there? This entire time you saw that with people in front of us as they change, I understand that. And through your rationale, okay, you know what? My parents are an authoritative figure, I'm going to respect them. Cops are an authoritative figure, I'm going to respect him, her, all of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the most authority. But He never left, He's always overwatching us. So what makes us think that we escaped Him? What makes us think that He's not going to look at us? What makes us think that we just got away with it? We didn't. He's always there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there. So we have to keep in mind of our environment in the sense that Allah is always watching who we're around, what we're doing. If no one is around you, you know Allah is with you. You know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you. Now the next point. This is the main part, the part of the discussion. Prom itself. Right? In the hadith I mentioned earlier, the narration by the Prophet, peace be upon him, I mentioned the eyes is a lustful look. You guys remember that? That happens in prom. People look around a lot. The tongue is promiscuous speech. People say some things they shouldn't be saying in prom. The ears, hearing, even music is being played in prom, right? The feet, you're walking towards that place. And some people walk away from prom going to somewhere else after prom ends. And also, the hands. Zina of the hands is a lustful grip. What do people do when they dance? They hold one another, right? This is when I was looking at this hadith, I was with my friend and I was laughing. I'm like, yo, is this hadith about prom? Like literally, like it seems like it's literally about prom. But that's what prom has. That's what it's become. All of that. I'm not saying prom was good at any time. Don't misunderstand me. But think about it. This hadith clearly shows us how it's completely incorrect. It's completely haram to be in that environment. And we know from a command, Allah gave a command. He didn't give a suggestion in the Quran. He gave a command. He said, La, do not go near zina. A command from the Creator came down saying, don't go near it. And then we understood from the Prophet what zina is. And we see an environment such as prom promoting and condoning all of that. Why should we go near that? There are too many evidences showing how this is haram, how it's incorrect to be even considering going there. Forget going there. Right? Way too much support for that, to go against that. Now, here are some counter arguments to me. Right? So I'm coming here saying, oh guys, this is wrong, whatever. So you're coming across saying, okay, but I'm not going to have a lustful grip because I'm going to go with my boys. I'm not going to have a girl with me. Right? That's how I'm going to think about it. The music, it's out of my control. I'm not literally listening I'm not really paying attention to the music. It's just playing in the background. I go to Walmart, they have music there too. Is the Walmart haram? Right? Think about it. Let's discuss this, right? Let's figure this out, step by step. Right? So I don't have a date. I'm with my friends. The music is whatever, right? I'm not eating anything haram. I'm not gonna drink, even though they might spike the punch or whatever. I'm not gonna drink. I'm gonna bring bottled water with me, So I'm gonna be all pure and everything, So what's wrong with me going there? But what did Allah say in the Quran? Don't even go near it. Don't even go near it. And when you go near it, man, I challenge a guy to go to prom and not look somewhere. No one's gonna be going to prom and not look away. Like, you think you're gonna go to prom and just be like this entire time looking at the floor? Really? Everyone's gonna be like, oh, let me use my one gaze at a time. Do not. And by the way, that one gaze is not an intentional look. By the way, it's if she happens or if he happens to cross your path and you see that person and then you look away. It's like that. It's not like, oh, I know there's a girl coming this way or a boy coming. I'm gonna look at him, and that's not how that means. It's not, or let's say you're trying to get married and you look at her, you want to see how she looks like. That's different. But it's not like, oh, I'm gonna plan this out. This one look is gonna be a really good look. It's not like that, right? So for us, we know that this environment, the counter arguments are. My question is, if you're gonna go there with your boys, you're not gonna listen to the music, you're not gonna bring the spiked punch, you're not gonna do anything with the girl. Why are you going? What's the point? No, seriously, think about this. What's the point of going to prom? You can literally do all of that anywhere else. Everything I just mentioned, you can do that anywhere else. And we'll cover this theme right before I finish, inshallah. But there are a few things I want us to mention. So keep that in mind. Now, prom, another reason for going to prom, right? So it's become an American trend, right? Promposals. It's such a big deal. How is he going to propose to me? How is she going to accept it? What's going to happen? When I went to school, I saw some people do extravagant things from prom, right? Just asking the person out, forget the day of, right? Someone was saying, you know, why are you trying to give this lecture right now? Prom is so far away. I said, well, people start planning these things right now. So let's give this lecture right now to figure these things out. Well, it's a trend, and trends are something that are very common and normal to us. They're comforting and familiar to us, right? Like everyone is doing it, so it's okay. So it would be kind of strange for us not to do it, right? It would be a little strange for us to do something. For example, there's one guy in here wearing a thobe. He's pretty strange at this point right now. Not to put him on the spot, but be serious. Look around. No one is wearing a thobe, no one is wearing a kufi except him. He's a strange person at this point, according to our dress code, to what you and I are wearing. That seems pretty strange to us, right? Now, there's a hadith, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says that in Sunan Ibn Majah, that Islam began as a strange religion. It began as a strange religion. And it will leave, it will end in as a strange religion. And then in the hadith, the narration is finished by saying, so give glad tidings to the strangers. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said what? Give glad tidings to the strangers. As Muslims, we are going to be completely strange. I'm not saying be awkward and crazy. What I'm saying is, when we represent ourselves in America, as American Muslims and Muslim Americans, we're going to show people, hey, I'm living here, I'm 100% American as you are, but I have a different belief system which I follow. I follow the conduct of the Quran and Sunnah, and this is who I am as a Muslim. And I will have the same careers as you can, and I will excel in them. I might even be better than you at these positions. And I will succeed, and I can have the same amount of money as you. I can even have more money than you. It doesn't matter for us in terms of dunya, in terms of what's in this world, but we are showing that we have the same potential to do everything that is good. We can achieve that while still keeping our identity as who we are as Muslims. So, for someone, the main point, to not go to prom might be a little bit strange. But when that person doesn't go to prom, what should we do? Give them glad tidings. What does this glad tidings mean? It means that the person who is strange at that point, tell them glad tidings of paradise. That congratulations, you're going to make it, inshallah. Congratulations, you stood out, you're going to make it, inshallah. Congratulations, you've done something to overcome the desires you had in your heart for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. If you had that sincere intention, congratulations. We give congratulations when we complete high school. We give congratulations when we finish our bachelor's degree, our master's, our PhD, our doctorate, all of these things. But what's a better accomplishment than getting Jannatul Firdaus, getting Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure? Nothing. So for those people who make that sacrifice, give them glad tidings of Jannah. Tell them, congratulations, honestly. You've made an effort, and if your intentions are sincere, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept it. So for us, to reject the idea of promposals, to reject any un-Islamic, any ideology that goes against the beliefs of Islam. So even in the case of homosexuality, it's very normalized in this situation. Today's topic is not homosexuality, but I have to make a side point. I go on tangents sometimes, and I think it's important to mention these things. In America, it's very normalized for gay marriage right now, right? And you might say that, okay, as a Muslim, I'm not gay, right? And no one in my family is gay, or lesbian, whatever it is. No, we don't do any of that. But I'm okay with you doing that because you're not Muslim, so it's okay. Is that okay for us to do? 100% no. 100% no. You can say, oh, but they're not Muslim, so why is that incumbent upon them? It's like going to someone and giving them pork. Who eats pork? I don't eat pork, but you eat pork, so go ahead. Here, I bought some pork for you. We can't do that. It's the same thing as alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, but here, you can have some alcohol. Because, your religion doesn't restrict you, or your belief system doesn't restrict you. Islam is a way of life. Islam is a way of life. So for us, everything we do, if we don't condone it, we have to show it. So for us, even voting for gay marriage in a sense that, okay, oh, but it's not me getting married, somebody else. It's their life. Why should I get in the way? Hashtag love wins. No, Allah wins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wins at the end of the day. And that's what we have to consider. The fact that, okay, I know what I stand for, these are my beliefs, and I'm gonna stay true to them. You know? And so long as the rules of the land don't go against your Islamic beliefs, you can be a Muslim, you can be an American, and you can live a perfectly normal life here. So sometimes we have to be a little bit strange though. Sometimes we have to be a little bit strange and we have to stand up and say, I don't agree with this. It doesn't mean we go out in the streets and be like, oh, okay, you're wrong and you're haram and this. No, we're not doing that. But if someone asks you a question, you better know the answer. If someone asks you, what do you stand for? You better know what you stand for. You better know what Islam stands for. And if you have a different opinion other than Islam, then make sure you say that this is my opinion, but this does not reflect Islam. Don't bring your opinion into what Islam says. Don't bring your feelings and emotions into what Islam says. If Islam says something is haram, don't say, but you know, everyone's doing it nowadays. Is dating okay? Well, you know, it's not, but like, how else are you going to get married? No. You live your life, how you're going to live it, that's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll respect that. But don't bring your emotions and feelings into what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mandated upon us to follow. Right? So keep that in mind. So in a way, we have to be strangers at times when it comes to things such as prom. To say that, you know what, I'm not going to do such a thing where I end up falling in the wrong environment. And the last thing I want to mention is the practicality behind all of this. So I want to give practical solutions. I don't want to come to an environment, an audience and say, this is what you're thinking about, you're wrong, goodbye, and I just walk away. That's not how we're done. That's not how Islam works. Islam has solutions, and we have to use practicality in some situations. So my first advice that I would give is, if it is prom night and you feel like, man, I wish I was there, your thoughts will not be held accountable on the day of judgment. Your actions will. So the fact that you thought about that sin, but you didn't do it, you'll get a good reward for that. That's point number one. Point number two, on that day, you can go and you can hang out with your guy friends. You can hang out with your girlfriends, right? Go to someone's house, play some video games or whatever, or go out bowling or something. Do something with your friends outside of that environment. Where prom is taking place. Meaning, for the people who give me all these arguments about, I'm gonna go out with just my boyfriends, or I'm gonna go out with just my girlfriends, and we're just gonna be with each other. Go ahead, do that, but not at prom. Give me a counter argument for that. I'll think about it. But I don't think there is any proper ones, honestly. If you want to do that, if you want to have fun, you can have fun. It doesn't have to be on prom night either. It can happen any day. Invite your friends over to your house, host them. You know, get to know your friends. Do that. Have a good relationship with your friends. I'm all for that. And that's amazing. Just don't do it at prom. Don't look up to that for prom. Don't look forward to something that's going to bring you down at the end of the day. Don't look forward to an event where you feel like you need this validation. What's the point of looking forward to something when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's validating you? The Creator is validating your worth. He's telling you how much you're really worth in this world. And that's through what? Your God consciousness. The person who's worth the most in this room is the one who has the most consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah knows who that person is in this room. So we have to keep in mind that for us to be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for us to have the fun that we want to have, we can still do all of that and more in a complete halal manner that doesn't go with the ways of incorrectness, that does not go with the ways of the non-believers. We don't follow that path. We don't follow all the trends, right? Even in the clothing, you don't have to wear a thobe. You can wear like the clothes you're wearing right now, so long as you're properly covered. You have to be properly covered. So keep that in mind. Keep these advices in mind. So the first point I said is go out with your friends and stay with your friends, or bring them to your house, host them, stay together, have some fun. And then the second thing is stay with good people. The third thing is avoid doubt. The last hadith, Sahih hadith mentioned that the Rasulullah said that what is halal is halal, what is haram, meaning what is permissible is permissible, what is impermissible is impermissible, and whatever there is doubt, stay away from that which is doubtful. Stay away from that which is doubtful. Nowadays, in 2018, we look for everything that has doubt and we're like, let's just go with it. Because, maybe it's not haram. No, what did the Prophet tell us? Stay away from that which is doubtful. Take your preventive measures. Get your extra credit in. Think about it like that. The time is coming to an end, so I'll conclude it now. Do you have any questions? If you don't have any questions, then I can conclude, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Again, I'm sorry for coming so late. Please forgive me. And there was bad traffic and I started out late myself.